Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Piano derechito por guardarraya. Like we already discussed, and this is something to take into consideration, because in our modern world there are many who call themselves real Mayonbe practitioners, and they start drawing any sigil without taking the proper measures or responsibility. And I want to let you know that drawing a Patipemba and try to use it for any spell and try to play the role as a real palero when you are not, it can bring you some consequences into your life or the life of your loved ones. So if you don't have the proper ceremonies done, if you don't have the proper Palo Mayonbe foundation, please do not try this, because this is not a child's game. Because what people are not aware of, that whatever you send out, it can come back to you and harm you. And how we can see that? Well, very simple. We were talking right here on this ensasa, or the arrow, about the entu, or the head of this arrow, that we already discussed, that it points out the destination where you need to send that spell or those spirits to do the job that you wanted. So this part of the head, it's also the entrance. Not only show the destination, but this top part of the head of this arrow is going to be the entrance, where once this Patipemba get into their destination, it's going to go through to the person or to the place which this spell has been done, and it's going to go through this magnetic field of this person. Some people know it like aura, and it's going to break through, and it's going to hurt this person if the Mayombero knows what he's doing. Also, we said that the second part on the tail is the part of departure, and that is very important, that part for the spirit to be oriented, where I was coming from, where I'm gonna go. But this is the part of the exit. And probably you're gonna say at home, well, why this is so important? Because if once you start drawing this Patipemba, and let's say you're facing another Mayombero practitioner who knows the craft, he's gonna be able, if he is somebody who knows what he's doing, he's gonna be able, in a spiritual reading, to know who sent me this spiritual shot, with what Patipemba he used, and from, like we already say, the entrance, the head of the arrow is the entrance, is the head of the arrow that break through the magnetic field of that individual that you are conducting the spell. But at the same time, it's the entrance that palero you are facing or your enemy can use it and to turn that whatever you send them back to you. And he can get through by the entrance all the way back to the tail. And if he knows how to track the spirit, he's going to be able to use the head of this arrow as an entrance. But he's going to turn it out. And the head, he's going to turn it as a tail. And the tail, he's going to turn it as the head. Pointing out who? Going back to the person that drew that seer or that spell to that enemy or to that Mayonbe. So that's why it's very important. I know we are talking about the Patipemba first level. There are going to be other videos, second level, third level, but this time I want to make you aware of, because there are many people drawing sigils and Patipemba like this would be a child's game and they don't care, they draw. Be very careful, because if you don't know this religion, and this is another issue, if your godfather, the one who gave you an enganga, if he didn't put inside of that enganga all the components that make that enganga powerful, once you face this other mayombero who knows the craft and is your godfather, by being an incompetent, or maybe he doesn't know anything and he's playing like he's a wise man and he's just taking your money, but he doesn't got any clue of what is Mayombe all about it. And if he have not protect the soul or the spirit of the dead of your Enfumbi, and if he have not put it into the proper, the soul I'm referring to, into the proper magical bottle, well, this Mayombero gonna be able, when he start doing this spiritual reading, to trap the soul or the spirit of the dead. And he can use the same spirit against you and turn it, this spirit against you. And you might say, oh, I got my enganga. Oh, I got the physical component dwelling in the enganga. But the truth is, if you don't have the soul of that spirit, you got nothing. And he's going to be able to beat the crap of you. Destroy you, destroy your family. How? Because he's going to be able to turn this arrow against you, and he's going to be able to go back and forward with that spirit and other spirit, and since the physical components are inside of the nganga, he's going to be able to put more spirits that do not reside in your nganga, and he's going to be able to make a real crazy environment, turn your world upside down in your nganga, and you're going to be confused because there's going to be explosion, all kinds of trouble for you and your life. And if you got godchildren and your godchildren, everybody, and that munanso, that Palo house might be no more. Why? Because he's destroying everything that is in your nganga. Because first of all, you didn't know how to protect this arrow, this Patipemba, and how to cover it from any attack. And second, because maybe you have some incompetent godfathers that they didn't know what to do. They didn't give you your nganga complete with all the components, and now you're going to pay the price. So be very aware, be very careful, because what goes around comes back to you. Another issue that we're talking here is, and this is what we're discussing, that this Mayombero, by a way of a spiritual reading, he's going to be able to track the spirit trajectory, the way this spirit travel. When you do a spiritual reading, you're going to be able to know the present, the future, how this spirit is going through the process of this spell, and how this spirit return back to you. What happened with this spirit? Were this spirit able to do what I asked him to do? Or once this spirit that is returning back to my home, is he bringing something else? And that's the mistake of many so-called paleros these days. That they do not do a proper reading by reading the Patipembas. I'm keeping it here simple. Obviously, there will be more elaborated, but I'm not. My intention is not to confuse people, like there are some crazy people around that they're confusing people and telling them fairy tales and all that. That is not Palo Mayombe. I'm trying to keep this simple so you can have a clear idea of what I'm talking about. But it's very important, because this is the way how another witch, how another Mayombe priest can do a spiritual reading on his own Patipemba, or the Patipemba he used, and he will be able to track the past events, what this spirit faced along when he was going along on the way to head into the destination, and what he faced once he getting into the place, and once the spirit returned back home, he could track if that spirit was able to do the mission, or if he didn't have his nganga made the proper way, then be careful. Because if you face a professional or knowledgeable palero, he's going to be able to turn everything against you and destroy you with the same enfumbi, or a slave spirit that you might use for that spell.